Hey everybody, welcome back. Elijah Williams with Fire Creek Forge, and I finally got some spare time to keep working on the new forge. And what do I have to do? I have to insulate it. I have to put in a floor. That's part of the insulation. As I mentioned in the last video, it's going to be a combination of, well, actually 3 different insulating materials, but 2 main ones. Primarily it's going to be insulated with K-wool, or the equivalent, which is a ceramic insulation. It looks like a white version of your home insulation, but it's a high temperature ceramic material. And then I'm going to use for the replaceable floor the inexpensive, I think they're like less than $3 locally here, inexpensive fire bricks, which are actually designed for like wood stoves, so not heat rated quite as high, but with forge welding and that kind of thing, they get destroyed quickly. Anything will get destroyed quickly with the flux that comes off of your billet and that kind of thing. So I wanted something that I could replace easily and inexpensively. So that's kind of what's going on. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I guess I'm going to scratch my head a little bit and figure out exactly what I want to do there. I don't really know. I've kind of gone around. I don't know if I want to weld some pieces of steel in here that I can set some brick on and then stuff some insulation underneath. I really don't know exactly what I want to do. I think maybe the first thing I should do is cut a piece of the K-wool that will fit in this entire cavity. Okay, so I have the insulation installed, and as you can see, these fire bricks that I have would be ideally about 2 inches wider. I think I can make it work appreciably well. Everything is going to be coated with the ITC 100. My hope is to basically have a slot here that I can remove the bricks and replace as necessary. That's my plan. I have to cut holes for the burners, and I want to give it a test run before I put the ITC 100 on there. Okay, this is the moment of truth. This is the first attempt at lighting the forge with the actual insulation and all of that in it. Ignore the mess in the background. It's a work in progress. Alright, so I'm going to turn the forge through the propane on. We're going to go ahead and give this a shot. I've got both valves closed right here to start out with. I'll bring it over here so you can see it. Look at that. Look at that. That's the little side intake burner that I put together on one of the videos. And on the other side I have the improved Frosty Tea burner. So let's turn that on and see what happens. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Guys, that is running at if it'll focus, that's running at 2 psi. Come on, focus. Alright, well, it doesn't want to focus, but that is, it's pretty awesome. Before I get this all heated up, I need to put some refractory coating in there. Okay, so as I expected, once I put this insulation in here and made it a little wider than the Venturi tube, what I expected did happen, and that acted as that necessary expansion at the end of the tube. The flare, that's what I'm trying to say, the flare at the end of the tube, that acts as the flare. So especially with this thicker insulation, on the final design of these burners, you don't need a flare. These are just a 3/4 pipe slid into an inch pipe right into the body of the forge. Okay, so like I said in the last video, if you're building a forge, or if you've purchased a forge that has this kind of insulation in it, you need to coat it with something if it's not already coated. This is 100 HT or ITC 100. I purchased it directly from ITC's website. It's International Technical Ceramics. This is rated to about 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It has a high reflective value, so the efficiency of your forge goes way up, and protects this K-wool insulation. It makes it last a lot longer and keeps you from breathing all the little particles that would come off of it otherwise. I can tell you one thing in the shop is seriously lacking is containers to mix things up in, but fortunately somebody left a fine Fire Creek Forge mug out here that I can use to measure with. What I'm going to do is, because it's 2 parts ITC with 1 part water, all I have to do is have a specific measurement. You should probably wear gloves when you're doing this. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, let me get this mixed up and then we'll go to painting. Okay, to show you guys my progress so far, I have the whole thing interior coated, and it took almost all of that 1 pint size of ITC 100, so I'm glad I went with that instead of the half pint that you can also get at certain places that would not have been enough. Okay, so to get you on my view here a little bit, talk about the forge real quick. So, like I say, it's finished. It just needs some curing on the refractory. So what I have here on the front and back is a simple little deal with a piece of angle iron and a piece of flat stock welded to, well, first the angle iron welded to the flat stock, and then the flat stock welded to the body of the forge. And that's a very simple and effective way to hold my completely adjustable door, which is just a couple pieces of fire brick, or two fire bricks on each end. So simple enough there. Okay guys, the forge is done. Now I've just got to run it. I've got it running at what my regulator says is 1 psi, and as you can hear probably, the burners are roaring happily. So let me talk about the HT100 refractory coating for a minute. The stuff that you paint on to the ceramic wool. I purchased the pint. This comes concentrated. You have to mix it with 2 parts material to 1 part water, and you put that on as a slurry. That's what I did. I purchased the pint container. It's about $55 plus shipping. So it's not cheap. The ceramic insulation was about $50 or $60. So there's about $100 of insulation in this thing. Now, I thought the pint was going to be plenty. It was just enough. There's a little, I have a little bit left. I should have probably just mixed it up and added some thickness because, like I said, going to the website and finding that you're supposed to put it on 1/16 to an eighth of an inch thick, no thicker, but 1/16 to an eighth of an inch thick, that's the recommended thickness to use it at. And I think I might have a 1/16 of an inch thick on about half of this over here, but overall it's pretty thin. At least that's what it seems like. Now I noticed that the ceramic insulation kind of soaks it up, so there's probably a layer about that thick that's kind of infused with it. But as far as the solid refractory, I don't think it's that thick. I'm going to go ahead and use the forge anyway, and I'm not worried about it. Worst case scenario, it breaks down my ceramic wall insulation a lot quicker than it should, and we'll deal with that. The ceramic insulation is contained, but knowing that I really could have used 2 pints HT100 on this forge, that bumps the insulation cost up to about $150, which is fine. But you might be getting into the realm where something like a castable refractory, and I didn't really research that route. A castable refractory would be very easy to do on a forge designed like this, and who knows, maybe that would have been the way to go. And who knows, maybe that's the way I'll go when I have to rebuild it someday. Those are things to check out, I guess.